A lot of travelers still use checked luggage for the wrong things. They throw in valuables, medication, chargers, travel documents, spare batteries, and other important items without really thinking about what could happen if that bag is delayed, lost, damaged, or pulled aside. But in 2026, there are still some very important things you should never put in checked luggage, either because of airport security rules, airline safety concerns, or because losing access to them can wreck your trip fast. In this video, we're going through 9 things you should never put in checked luggage in 2026, including the common packing mistakes travelers keep making with lithium batteries, passports, medication, electronics, and other must-keep items. So before you zip up your suitcase and hand it over, let's make sure you are not putting the wrong thing in the bag that disappears from your sight. Number 1. Spare lithium batteries and power banks. This is probably the biggest checked luggage mistake travelers still make, because a lot of people either do not know the rule or assume it is not a big deal. They pack a power bank, a spare camera battery, or an extra rechargeable battery into their suitcase without thinking twice, then hand the bag over like it is no different from packing socks or a toothbrush. But this is exactly the kind of item that should not be sitting down in the hold where you cannot get to it. And this is where people get caught out, because batteries are one of those things that feel small, harmless, and easy to forget about. They get left in side pockets, zipped into little compartments, or buried inside tech pouches, and then suddenly the traveler is being told the bag cannot go as packed, or worse, the problem is only discovered after check-in. What looked like a tiny packing choice can suddenly turn into a delay, extra stress, or a last-minute bag reshuffle at the airport. The reason this matters so much is simple. Power banks and spare lithium batteries are not just random travel accessories anymore. People rely on them. They use them for their phones, tablets, cameras, headphones, and all the other devices that now feel glued to modern travel. So travelers toss them into checked luggage, thinking they are keeping their carry-on lighter, when really they are putting one of the worst possible things in the wrong bag. Smart travelers do the opposite. They keep spare batteries and power banks in their carry-on where they belong, where they are easier to monitor, easier to access, and far less likely to cause problems with checked luggage. It is one of those airport rules that people really do need to take seriously, because this is not just about convenience. It is about safety, airport screening, and avoiding a mistake that can mess up your trip before it has even started. Because when it comes to checked luggage in 2026, one of the clearest rules is also one of the easiest to get wrong. If it is a power bank or a spare lithium battery, it should not be in the suitcase you hand over. Number 2. E-cigarettes and vapes. This is another one that catches travelers out because people often treat vapes like they are just another small personal item. They toss them into checked luggage, zip the suitcase up, and think nothing of it. But in 2026, this is still one of those things you should never pack in a checked bag, even though plenty of travelers either forget or assume it will not matter. Part of the problem is that vapes are small and easy to overlook. They get dropped into side pockets, toiletry bags, backpack compartments, or little pouches with chargers and cables, and then people forget they are even there. So by the time they are at the airport, they are not thinking about the vape at all. They are thinking about check-in, security, boarding times, and getting through the airport. Meanwhile, the thing that can cause a problem is already packed away in the wrong place. What makes this such a common mistake is that a lot of travelers think checked luggage is the safer option for anything they do not want to deal with in the terminal. But with vapes, that logic can backfire. The airport does not see it as a harmless little gadget you wanted out of the way. It is treated much more seriously than that, and if it is packed in the wrong bag, it can create delays, bag searches, or a last-minute repack situation that nobody wants when they are already trying to catch a flight. Smart travelers know the key difference here. Just because something is small does not mean it belongs in checked luggage. A vape might fit easily into a suitcase, but that does not make it the right place for it, and that is where people trip themselves up. They pack based on convenience, instead of packing based on what the airport and airline rules actually allow. Because one of the easiest ways to create an avoidable airport problem is to pack a vape in the bag you're handing over and only find out later that it should never have been there in the first place. Number 3. Important medication. This is one of the worst things to pack in checked luggage, not because it is banned, but because it is one of the items you really do not want separated from. TSA says medication can go in both carry-on and checked baggage, but it is highly recommended to keep it in your carry-on in case your checked bag is delayed. And that is exactly why this catches people out. A lot of travelers are trying to save space in their carry-on, So they put prescription medicine, pain relief, vitamins, or anything health-related into the suitcase and think they will just get it later. But if that bag is delayed, sent somewhere else, or not available when you land, now you are not just inconvenienced. You are without something you may actually need. What makes this mistake worse is that travel days already throw everything off. Flights get delayed, connections get missed, bags can take longer than expected, and people arrive tired, stressed, or in a totally different time zone. That is the exact moment you do not want to be standing there, realizing the medication you need is somewhere in the baggage system instead of with you. Smart travelers do not treat important medication like just another item to pack wherever it fits. They keep it close, easy to reach, and with them throughout the trip. That way, even if the suitcase disappears for a while, the one thing they really should not be without is still where it needs to be. Because when it comes to checked luggage in 2026, medication is not the kind of thing you pack and hope for the best with. It is the kind of thing you keep with you. Number 4. Passports and essential travel documents. This should never be in your checked luggage, and yet some travelers still do it. They put their passport in a side pocket, tuck travel papers into a folder, or slide important documents into the suitcase because they want their hands free and think they will not need them again until later. But that is a huge risk, because the one bag you cannot rely on having quick access to is the checked one. And this is where it can go badly wrong. If your suitcase is delayed, sent somewhere else, or even just unavailable for longer than expected after landing, now your most important travel documents are out of your hands at the exact moment you may need them. A passport is not the kind of thing you want to be chasing through an airport baggage system, and neither are boarding details, hotel information, visas, travel insurance papers, or anything else tied to your trip. What makes this mistake worse is that people often assume the hard part is over once the bag is checked. But travel does not work like that. You may still need to show documents again, confirm details on arrival, fill something out, or prove something quickly. If those documents are buried in a suitcase you cannot reach, you have turned something important into a problem for no good reason. Smart travelers keep passports and essential travel documents with them at all times, in a personal bag, travel wallet, or carry-on that stays in their control. That way, even if checked luggage is delayed, searched, or temporarily lost, the documents that actually keep the trip moving are still exactly where they should be. Because when it comes to checked luggage in 2026, your passport should never be going on a separate journey without you. Number 5. Wallet, cash, and valuables. This is one of those mistakes that sounds obvious until you remember how many people still do it. They throw cash into a suitcase, leave a wallet in an inside pocket, or pack watches, jewelry, or other expensive items in checked luggage because it feels safer zipped away. But checked luggage is not the place for anything valuable that you would be stressed, angry, or financially sick over losing. And the problem is not just theft, it is also delay, mishandling, damage, and the simple fact that once that bag disappears onto the belt, it is out of your control. If your suitcase turns up late, gets searched, ends up in the wrong place, or comes back damaged, now the things you actually care most about are the ones you cannot get to. That is a terrible feeling, especially when the item could have stayed with you the whole time. A lot of travelers make this mistake because they are trying to travel light through the airport. They do not want to carry too much, so they start moving important things into the checked bag without really thinking it through. But that is the exact opposite of what smart travelers do. The more valuable something is, the less sense it makes to hand it over and hope everything goes perfectly. Smart travelers keep wallets, cash, jewelry, and anything expensive or hard to replace on them or in their carry-on where they can see it, reach it, and stay in control of it. Because even if a checked bag arrives exactly when it should, that still does not make it the right place for the things that matter most. When it comes to checked luggage in 2026, if losing it would ruin your day, cost you money, or make you panic, it should not be in there. Number 6. Laptops, tablets, cameras, and expensive electronics. A lot of travelers assume these are fine in checked luggage because technically some of them are allowed. And that is where people get confused. Something being allowed is not the same as it being a smart idea. When it comes to laptops, tablets, cameras, and other expensive electronics, checked luggage is still one of the worst places to put them. The first problem is obvious. These items are expensive, fragile, and easy to damage. Checked bags get tossed around, stacked, shifted, dropped, and squeezed in ways most people never see. So even if your suitcase arrives on time, there is still the risk that the electronics inside it will not arrive in the same condition you packed them in. That is not something most travelers want to gamble with. The second problem is access. If your checked luggage is delayed, searched, or sent somewhere else, now the devices you rely on are suddenly out of reach. And that can affect more than people expect. Your laptop might have work on it, your tablet might keep the kids occupied, your camera might be the whole reason you packed it, and your electronics often come with chargers, memory cards, or accessories that matter too. Once the suitcase is gone, all of that goes with it. And then there is the value issue. The more expensive something is, the less sense it makes to hand it over and hope the baggage system treats it gently. Smart travelers know that electronics are much better off in a carry-on where they can be protected, kept nearby, and handled carefully. Because with checked luggage in 2026, this is one of those big packing mistakes people still make by thinking, well, it fits, so it should be fine. But expensive electronics are the kind of thing you want with you, not bouncing around somewhere under the plane. And if you're enjoying this so far, please give the video a like and subscribe, because these are exactly the kind of small travel mistakes that can quietly ruin a trip if you do not know about them ahead of time. Number 7. Phone chargers, charging cables, and the key tech accessories you actually need. This one does not sound dramatic at first, but it causes a lot more trouble than people expect. A traveler lands, reaches their hotel, or sits down at the gate with a low phone battery, then suddenly realizes the charger, cable, adapter, or other important tech accessory is in the checked suitcase instead of with them. And now, the one thing keeping them connected is running out fast. That is what makes this such a frustrating checked luggage mistake. People usually focus on the big item, like the phone, tablet, or laptop, and forget that the accessory is what actually keeps it useful. A phone without a charging cable is only helpful for so long. A laptop without its charger becomes a very expensive countdown. And if your bag is delayed or takes longer to arrive, those small accessories suddenly become a much bigger problem than they seemed when you were packing. This gets even worse during travel because phones do so much now. They hold boarding passes, hotel bookings, maps, messages, airline apps, transport details, and all the little bits of information people rely on when they are tired and trying to get somewhere unfamiliar. So if your battery is dropping and the charger is buried in a checked bag you cannot reach, that is not just inconvenient. That can leave you stressed, stuck, and scrambling. Smart travelers do not just keep their devices with them. They keep the things that make those devices usable with them too. Charging cables, wall plugs, adapters, headphones, and anything else you're likely to need before your checked bag arrives should stay in your carry-on or personal item, not in the suitcase you handed over at the counter. Because when it comes to checked luggage in 2026, it is not just about what is expensive. It is also about what is essential the minute you need it. Number 8. One change of clothes and first-day essentials. This is one of those things people only fully understand after a bag goes missing. A lot of travelers pack everything into checked luggage and assume they will see it again at the other end without any problem. But if that suitcase is delayed, sent to the wrong airport, or simply takes longer to show up than expected, now you are standing there with nothing except what is on you and whatever happened to fit in your pockets. And that is where this mistake starts feeling much bigger than it looked at home. Suddenly you do not have a fresh top, clean underwear, basic toiletries, or the simple everyday things that make the first day of a trip manageable. Instead of arriving and settling in, you are immediately trying to solve a problem you could have softened just by keeping a few essentials with you. What makes this such a smart tip is that it is not about expecting disaster. It is about giving yourself a safety net. Because even when checked bags are only delayed for a short time, that delay often happens at the worst possible moment. You have landed, you are tired, maybe the shops are closed, maybe you have a long drive ahead, maybe you are going straight to a hotel or an event, and now the things you thought would be easy to grab are nowhere near you. Smart travelers do not keep every single essential in the bag they're handing over. They hold back a few basics in their carry-on or personal item, just enough to get through the first part of the trip without feeling stranded if the checked luggage does not arrive when it should. Because with checked luggage in 2026, it is not just about what is banned or expensive. It is also about not leaving yourself completely helpless if your suitcase decides to take its own little holiday. Number 9. Anything fragile, sentimental, or hard to replace. This is the one that really sums the whole thing up. Because by the time most people get to this point, they are not just thinking about airport rules anymore. They are thinking about the things that would genuinely upset them if they were lost, broken, or delayed. And that is exactly why these are the worst things to put in checked luggage. A lot of travelers focus on whether something is technically allowed, and that is only part of the story. Something can be allowed and still be a terrible idea to pack in the suitcase you're handing over. Fragile items can break, sentimental items can disappear, and anything rare, meaningful, or difficult to replace can become a much bigger loss than people expected when they first zipped the bag shut. This is where people get caught by their own logic. They think, I wrapped it up carefully, I tucked it between clothes, it should be fine. But checked luggage is not handled like a box of delicate treasures. It gets moved fast, stacked, dropped, shifted, squeezed, and sent through a system that is designed for volume, not tenderness. So if you are packing something that would really hurt to lose, hoping for the best is not a very comforting plan. And sentimental things are often the worst ones to risk. A gift from someone you love, a piece of jewelry tied to a memory, an old photograph, a keepsake from a family member, something you cannot just buy again online if it goes missing. Those are the kinds of items people think will be safer tucked away in a suitcase, when really they are safer staying with you. Smart travelers look at an item and ask one simple question. If this got lost, delayed, or damaged, how bad would that feel? And if the answer is very bad, then it does not belong in checked luggage. It belongs with you, where you can protect it, keep an eye on it, and know exactly where it is. Because that is really the rule behind all 9 of these mistakes. The things that matter most should never be the things you hand over and hope to see again later. So before your next trip, pack your checked bag for what you can afford to part with for a while, and keep the truly important things where they belong. With you.